All right, good morning. So we're going to go ahead and talk about the different cell structures and different parts of the cell. So let's just start with ribosomes real quick. So ribosomes are going to be in all cells, prokaryotes, eukaryotes. And by the way, when I say prokaryotes, that's basically all bacteria. Eukaryotes are everything else, your plant cells, your animal cells, your fungi. Anyway, all cells are going to have ribosomes. Ribosomes are represented by these little dots in the cell, and then sometimes they're located around they're attached on this little long, like spaghetti-looking thing here. That's the endoplasmic reticulum, the rough ER. We'll get to that later. But anyways, small dots are ribosomes, and their one function is to make proteins, which is protein synthesis. Okay, cytoplasm, again, it's in all cells. It's just the middle area of the cell. It's just the fluid of the cell where everything kind of sits. Okay, flagella and cilia, these are for movement. So flagella is like a long tail that some cells could have. Cilia would be the tiny little hairs on the outside, and they kind of move them around. Pretty simple. Okay, cell membrane. So again, all cells are going to have a cell membrane. And cell membrane basically just regulates what enters and exits the cell. It's what we call selectively permeable because it can kind of select what goes in the cell and what goes out of the cell. Okay. Um, this kind of goes with the nucleus. So inside the nucleus houses DNA. So nucleus is only in eukaryotes, but DNA is in all cells. All cells have DNA. When that DNA is going to replicate, it condenses down into what we call a chromosome. So a chromosome is just condensed DNA. It condenses down into this structure right here, right before the cell divides. And then chromosomes contain chromatin, which is just basically DNA mixed with protein. So chromosomes are DNA, just condensed down. That's all it is. Okay, nucleus I mentioned. So the nucleus has that genetic information, which is DNA. DNA can turn it chromosomes. And then inside the nucleus, there's what we call the nucleolus. So think of this as like the mini nucleus inside the nucleus. And really, you just need to know that that makes RNA. For now, that's all you really need to know. All right. Endoplasmic reticulum, also just sometimes it's just called the ER, is only in eukaryotes. It's used for cellular transportation, so it helps move stuff around the cell. There's a rough version. Okay, it's usually wrapped around the nucleus here, and then the smooth version. The rough version, the reason it's called the rough ER is because it has the ribosomes attached to it, which help make the proteins. Okay, this is just like a 3D model of the ER. So in the middle would be where the nucleus is. This is the rough ER. So the little dots there are the ribosomes. This is the smooth ER. So you can kind of zoom in on this. All right, next is the Golgi apparatus. So the whole structure is called the apparatus. The individual pieces are called Golgi bodies. So you'll kind of see them interchange there. If you see Golgi body, Golgi apparatus, in terms of your exam, it's like the same thing. So just Golgi, if you can remember that, you're good. It's only in eukaryotes. And this takes proteins, generally takes the proteins that were made in the ribosomes, and then it modifies them. And it modifies lipids too. So think of this as kind of like a factory. It modifies whatever it needs to do, and then it gets sent elsewhere. Okay, and this is just a 3D image of what the Golgi would look like. Okay, lysosome. Okay, lysosome. I always tell my students to think of like Lysol. So Lysol kind of cleans. So it's kind of the cleaner of the cell. Um, so honestly, your exam isn't going to say cleans the cell. It's going to say something like this relating to breaking down material. So it has enzymes. Enzymes are what can break down the material. Okay, then mitochondria. Okay, mitochondria you're often taught is the powerhouse of the cell. So again, only in eukaryotes, both plant and animal cells have this. Um, so make sure you know more than just the powerhouse of the cell. Okay, it supplies the energy. Energy in a cell is what we call ATP. Um, and it makes it through the process called cellular respiration. Okay, so there are certain cells that are going to have a lot more mitochondria, like muscle cells, for example. Okay, and that's just a 3D view of the mitochondria. And that's just an entire animal cell. Okay, on to plant cells. So plant cells have all the stuff we talked about too, but these are unique to plant cells. You'll need to know structures that are unique to plant cells, not just animal cells. So one would be the central vacuole. Sometimes it's called the large central vacuole. And this is just a large, uh, it just stores water mainly. Okay, then of course the chloroplasts. Chloroplasts are going to be for photosynthesis, which converts solar energy to chemical energy, specifically light energy, into glucose. Okay, and then plants are also have what's called a cell wall. Animal cells do not. Cell wall is going to just provide support and protection. So that's only in plants. Also in prokaryotes. It's also in like fungus too, but don't worry about that yet. Right now, just make sure you know it's in plant cells, prokaryotes, not in animal cells. Okay, and that's just a 3D image of a plant cell. You can distinguish a plant cell from an animal cell, like on a picture, because it's going to have because the cell wall, it's going to have more of flat sides instead of just kind of globular, oval, kind of circular shape. Okay, and I think that's it. All right, that's it. I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing. I'm going to go ahead and stop recording.